Hello everyone, and welcome back to What Makes This Game Awesome. It's a new year, I have a new camera, and overall a lot of new stuff's going on the channel in general. So I thought that a good way to start would be with a tough, fun, and fairly cheap little game that most people can enjoy with me. So today I'm going to be talking about Titan Souls and what makes this game awesome. Titan Souls is like Hyper Light Drifter, Shadow of the Colossus, and a game of One in the Chamber had some kind of weird abomination of a child that had me tearing my hair out trying to record it. It was released all the way back in April 2015 and is now available for PS4, PS Vita, PC, and possibly PS3. I don't actually know about that. It's a really unique kind of game, truly capturing a mood only really found in Shadow of the Colossus for me. So if you're a fan of that, this'll definitely be one that you might be interested in. If you listen closely, you can almost hear it. Also, yes, I will do a review of that game at one point too, but I have to complete it first, which is a challenge by itself. So straight from the get-go, the game throws you into the action, giving you a brief, not really intrusive movement tutorial, and then showing off its basic mechanic. So, imagine good old Shadow of the Colossus kid got trained in the Force and apparently lost most of his arrows along the way, and you basically have this game's main premise. Now it may seem like I'm being stupid, but to be fair, the story isn't really elaborated on at all throughout the entire game, so I'm just saying what I made of it. You can shoot your arrow, and that's it. It's gone. You lose. But wait! You can use the power of the Force to pull it back towards you, dealing damage to enemies both ways and making a very cool mechanic to base the game on. Or you could just walk over to it, too. That works. The level leads you straight into...
What's that?
Okay, so the save points in the game show you how many of the area's bosses you've killed, giving you a nice clue as to the direction of the bosses and letting you keep track of your progress. They aren't always laid out obviously, so I think this was a very clever idea. You then end up walking into a pretty damn unforgiving boss fight, and if unforgiving and incredibly frustrating and difficult games aren't something you like, then you'll love this game.
Ha! Get good. You died on the first Titan boss. Souls. Wow, more like someone's Titan sucks.
A very important thing to note is that this game quite literally is a game of One in the Chamber. You only have one arrow in your quiver, but even one hit from a boss or anything made by it that could damage you will insta-kill you. But for the most part, it only takes one hit to kill the boss as well. That doesn't mean it's easy, half the time that actually makes it harder, but it feels more realistic and kind of rewarding. Anyway, you kill this slime blob thing by splitting it up until the heart comes loose, which is not easy by any means. Then the game shows the very rewarding way of finishing off bosses, ripping your arrow from their petrified corpse. The game leads you onto some other bosses, quickly getting you to realize that this is what the game is based off. In short, there are 18, or 19, but I'll get to that, Titans in the game that you have to kill because you're a Titan hunter, I think? There aren't many bosses in this game that are easy to kill, basically all of them requiring split-second reactions even in the first 4 bosses. I mean, this guy is basically Bloxorks on steroids. Like, seriously, remember that mini-clip game? It's like that, but with crazy shooty laser beams and a huge eye. The others are slidey brain that you have to melt the ice around to shoot, and honestly, even right from the beginning, this game is getting you to figure out mechanics without having to tell you about them, which I really like. To travel between bosses, you walk around the world map, which adds a very non-linear element to the game, allowing you to take on bosses in any order you like. The map is well designed, having a nice range of dynamic environments that affect your battles and even a couple of puzzles to go through. The only downside to this is that it can take a while to get across the map, which, funnily enough, is a problem I'm having in another game right now as well. And there is no in-game map display, meaning I had to look up a map of the game to navigate properly, which is pretty damn annoying. Also, it has a very nice soundtrack playing quietly in the background. Quite calm, but getting energetic when needs be, and generally fitting the mood well. Even still, the map is interesting, and I much prefer this approach to the more linear one that they really could have gotten away with. So I could spend all day talking about every single boss in this game and why most of them are pretty damn cool. But I figure for the purposes of making a video that isn't about 5 hours long, I should probably shrink it down to just my favourite bosses and what makes them so cool. I think my favourite and least favourite boss is Knight Elahand, which is basically your character but superior in every way. I like this boss because his gameplay style is kind of similar to yours, yet just minor tweakings to his timings and a few too many pork pies allow him to completely decimate you, leaving you only about 1 second to charge an arrow that takes just under a second to charge anyway, so you have to have basically perfect aim. It's a very, very tough fight, due to a not very obvious weakness, but the weakness is hinted at the beginning of the fight. Extreme accuracy is needed and a small degree of luck, but I remember thinking that this fight was incredibly well done, and after dying lots and lots, it felt like one of the most rewarding fights to complete. Now another cool thing to realize is that this game likes to combine 2D and 3D graphics together, using the pixely kind of 2D graphics that you can see on screen right now, and also, in some cases, these really cool low-poly 3D graphics, which I think look really cool by themselves, and together, they're a match made in heaven. These graphic styles work incredibly well together, and several of the bosses are actually rendered in 3D. Another great boss to show this off is the electric ice snake Onyxia, which smashes the platforms that you have to stand on, going full toaster in the bathtub on you when you stay in the water for too long. Its tail is its weak point, but hitting it is very, very tough as it disappears so fast and you have to be standing on the platforms that it destroys to hit it. Even though it's a very low poly animation, I think this was intentional, and personally I love how these graphics look with each other. Now I could go on for at least 14 more bosses about why they are so good, but unfortunately some of them aren't that fleshed out, one specifically coming to mind. Now, I can forgive this in a normal game, but the problem is, in the entire game there are only 18 or 19 enemies in total to fight, so you'd expect all 18 or 19 to provide an interesting and unique battle. And while this one does provide a unique battle, you might have to redefine the word battle. A very unusual one is this boss that literally gives up and lets you kill it. Yeah, you wanna die that much, bud? Don't worry, I'll see to that. Get it? See? Cause he's an eye. Okay, fine, just die. It's a little annoying that two of the bosses in this game don't provide a challenge though. I mean, there aren't many in the game to start off with, so you'd want all of them to pose a pretty damn huge challenge, like in Shadow of the Colossus. But I can forgive it when you look at the other bosses and the challenge that they pose, it's just a little unfortunate. Now, I'm going to be talking about the final boss, so if you don't want spoilers, I would recommend skipping ahead right about now. I'm going to try and remember to put a time somewhere up here, so if I don't, just check in the comments, I've probably put it there. But anyway, last chance to skip. Now, the final boss is called Titan Soul. Titan Soul is quite literally you, but optimized to play perfectly, and he also has a dodge mechanic, letting him dodge when he should be locked in place, like when you attract the arrow towards you or when you're shooting. He's protected by this kind of white shield at all times, the only exception being when he dodges, giving you about a quarter second to shoot him, meaning you have to predict his dodge, which is really tough to do. I spent at least half an hour on this boss alone, and in my opinion, he's quite a worthy final boss. He's like the Shadow Link, but he's light, so I guess he's Light Link, but Shadow of the Colossus. Okay, let's end that attempt at a joke and go on to this game's joke of an ending. I wish I didn't have to say it, but there was very little reward at the end of the game, having basically nothing of value to reward your intense battles. For me, the battles were rewarding enough, but for a lot of people, it would be hard to justify playing the entire game for such a little payoff at the end. So anyway, despite the kind of lackluster ending, Titan Souls is still a very unique game. In my opinion, it does capture the mood found in Shadow of the Colossus, admittedly to a lesser extent, but it's still there. And while there are some definite flaws with the game that I've tried to point out through the video, I want to paint this game in a good light, because I still had a ton of fun playing it, and I can happily recommend it to most people. In my playthrough, where I was trying to play through the game pretty quickly, I got about 5 hours out of it, which is not worth the full price of the game, £11 here in the UK. But if you could get this game on a sale, then I would say it's totally worth £4 or £5, maybe even £7. Also, I've heard rumours of a 19th Titan that you can get if you beat all other 18, and while I did beat all other 18, I am not going to even attempt to record that one, because I figured that you would like this video uploaded this week and not next year. So to answer the question, the nice fitting soundtrack and intense action combined with the really cool graphics combination and a tough but fair difficulty is, for me, what makes this game awesome. But I can easily accept that there are some serious flaws with the game too, such as the amount of time it takes to travel across the map, and a couple of the Titans being kind of pushovers. Overall, with all that taken into consideration, I would happily still give this game a 7 out of 10, and I can definitely recommend it to most people, especially if it's on a sale. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been trying a bunch of new stuff out in this video, so let me know in the comments what you thought of it. The camera's probably something that I'm gonna keep, but in terms of the style of this video, I went a little different with this one, so let me know if you prefer it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of thing, and I will see you all in the next video, so goodbye.